What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Sunday morning. Yes, England play later today, but first we have plenty of Manchester United news to get into today. We've actually got quite a bit that's happened in the last 24 to 48 hours, so I thought I'd do a quick video here discussing all of the latest United news. We're going to talk a little bit about Marcus Rashford, his future. Of course, he does play for England today. We're assuming Gareth Southgate is going to select him to start against Senegal. But what we're going to talk about when it comes to Manchester United is his contract. There's been lots of murmurings, rumblings about his future. We've got the latest when it comes to his contract. The Athletic has written about a possible trigger to extend and then possibly informal talks taking place already for his contract. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about a story that's breaking this story, and that regards Jadon Sancho. Now, the Manchester United squad to travel to Spain for the warm weather training camp and those two friendlies against Cadiz and Real Betis has been selected, and it doesn't include Jadon Sancho. We've got the reasons why Manchester United have actually released an official confirmation that Sancho isn't going to travel and why he isn't travelling, so we'll talk about that. Cody Gakpo, of course, featured for the Netherlands yesterday in their 3-1 victory over the United States of America. Of course, the Dutch side progressing into the quarterfinals of the World Cup out there in Qatar. And after the game, as he has been throughout the entirety of this tournament, Cody Gakpo was asked about his future and possible rumours linking him to a move to Manchester United in January. And Virgil van Dijk, he threw a bit of shade. I say a bit. He threw a lot of shade at Manchester United. I was furious when I read it, so we'll talk about that. Plus, also, there's this story about Juventus last summer, not this past summer, but the summer before, possibly rejecting a swap deal that involved Donny van de Beek. There's so much going on with Juventus at the moment, so we'll talk about that. So as you can see, we've got quite a lot to get into in this short video this morning, so be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. Remember, you can join the UV Members Club as well. Links in the video description is also... It's not the pinned comment in the live chat, because there isn't a live chat, but it's the link in the video description. I'm tired this morning. Links in the video description. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content as well. But before we get into today's video, this show is brought to you by Fresh Ego Kid. Fresh Ego FC will be, for the third year, facilitating their annual Community Giveback for Campaign for Change to provide an essential hamper and gifts to families from low-income, vulnerable, and at-risk families. This year, Fresh Ego FC is partnering with Anthony Joshua's charity Clean Herts Community. This year, of course, especially with global inflation and fuel poverty, those families, along with other families, will struggle to provide the basics this Christmas. Last year, through donations, Fresh Ego SC was able to give back to more than 120 families. This year, they expect to be supporting more than 350 families. So for a bit more information on this, here's a message from Anthony Joshua himself.
People, I hope you're good. So the festive period is fast approaching. And what I've come to realise is that a lot of people are actually unsure on how to kind of connect with communities and give back. So what I've done is my organisation have teamed up with another organisation to do some projects where we're going to be doing community work and spending time in communities and doing some give back projects, right? So we want to raise some funds, we want to get some items because it's going to be rolled out across the whole year as well. This ain't just a one-stop shop. So if you want to get involved, follow the link. Follow the Instagram page, the social pages for more info, and your help will be appreciated. We'll be there, I'll be there. It'll be a big community day. Don't worry about that, Leaf. And yeah, we appreciate your support fully, yeah? God bless, be safe, and I'll catch up with you all soon.
Great words there from Anthony Joshua, and as always, if you want to find out more information or you want to donate to this well-worthy cause, links in the video description. It sends you to a Just Giving page, or you can go to all of the respective websites, Instagram pages, and you can find out more about this fantastic cause in this holiday season. So let's first off start talking about Marcus Rashford and his future at Manchester United. As I mentioned, Rashford's future and his contract's been a point of discussion for Manchester United for quite a while now. His contract does expire this summer. Of course, United do have the option to extend before he officially signs a long-term deal. And Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic has been writing that even though Manchester United have an option to extend Marcus Rashford's contract for another season, a new contract is the priority. So far, only informal talks have taken place between the two parties. Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag is keen to wait out the break, the World Cup break that is, before addressing the issue of out-of-contract players. So of course that applies to Rashford, but also other players too. It continues, saying that Erik ten Hag liked what he saw from Marcus Rashford early on, and getting him extended for several more years is a priority. And also when it comes to improvement, and we've seen Marcus Rashford improve significantly this year, they said that's partly due to Mitchell van der Gaag, of course Manchester United assistant manager, who is set up for all players to work on their weaker foot during the season so far. So what was interesting about this? And maybe this is a good example of not to pay too much attention to social media, folks, because there are some people I've seen on social media, and I try my best not to be on it that much because you can get sort of just buried in the toxicity of it. But I saw some people suggesting that Marcus Rashford doesn't deserve a new contract. And I would say, well, if this was this time last year, I'd say absolutely. But what are we getting ourselves into here? What are we looking for? Marcus Rashford this season, based on his performances, has earned a new deal. He has. He won Player of the Month in September in the Premier League. He's been one of our best players. He's playing very well at the World Cup. He's not only playing well, he put in the work to turn himself around. Granted, there's still a long way to go this season, and he could still go massively out of form. I mean, any player could. But this is a player that last season, and even to an extent earlier this year when it came to the transfer window, last season he was terrible. He was devoid of confidence. I still think he was trying to recover from injuries. And this is a guy that has put it out on the line for us for several years whilst he was injured. And last year really paid the price of that. And he was in a bad side that was in a horrible dressing room and in a really bad moment. And he was poor. And when there were links to him going elsewhere in the summer, I think universally to a man, myself included, went, okay, you can go. Because he hadn't earned his spot at United by that point. He hadn't earned to play up demands, I want to get a new contract. There was a couple of instances where it was like, oh, give me a new contract or I might consider leaving. I remember the Manchester derby last year at the Etihad. He wasn't involved in the starting 11. Then rumours came out he might be considering his future. And universally, everyone went, you can go. Earlier this year, when it came to PSG as well, his brother had held talks with PSG, and it was the reaction was, well, you can go if you think you can get a role at PSG, you think you can get a spot at PSG, go. We don't want you then. But now, no, he has put the work in over the summer. It was clear. It's clear, eh? He put the work in to improve, and he's reaping the benefits of that already. And he's getting back to, I think, what people expect of him. So from what he's done so far this season, you would say he absolutely deserves to have discussions, shall we say. Maybe not exactly to have a new contract on the spot. They can extend his deal by a year. They can give themselves more time, and I think they will. And this is why you have that option of an extra year. Extend it for a year, and then maybe come January. And again, these new contracts don't happen overnight. Look how long it took Bruno Fernandes to sign a new contract with Manchester United. He signed it, towards the end of last season, and then he was negotiating it from the start of last season. It took the best part of 6 months, 7 months, maybe even longer than that. And that might be the case for Rashford, especially with Erik ten Hag saying during the summer transfer window that put a stop on all of these transfer contract negotiations, with these existing players. These players have to earn it. And when I say earn it, I mean over the course of the entire season. And so far, Rashford is earning it. So I would think that after the World Cup, those negotiations would start. I don't think we'll get to a point where it's January, he's putting pen to paper and it's, he signed a new contract. Maybe that will be the case. It depends on how his form goes. But at the moment, I think this negative reaction that I've seen from some, I think is kind of wild, to be honest. I don't really understand that. So I think that he's been one of our better players, or one of our best players this season, and he absolutely deserves to be having those negotiations for a new contract. What his wage would be, what his salary would be, that's another point entirely. You know, you've got people that are on far more, that are doing far less so far this season. That's when it gets into kind of the politics of contract negotiations. So I have to wait and see when it comes to that one. But again, I think Marcus Rashford has absolutely deserved so far to be in negotiations for a new contract this season. Now, I also do want to talk about Jadon Sancho this morning. Obviously, again, speaking of speculation, there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of scrutiny, and a lot of questions about really what's going on with Jadon Sancho. Of course, he missed the last, 3 or 4 games of Manchester United season before the World Cup break. Now, there was reports that he was ill. And there was questions about what was going on because on social media, he had sort of blacked out all of his social media pages. He'd removed all of his posts from his Instagram page as well. So there's a lot of questions about what was going on with Sancho. Of course, his form had dropped off massively, wasn't involved in the World Cup squad. There were then images and reports of him training out in the Netherlands at a Dutch amateur club with coaches recommended by Erik ten Hag to help him get back up to the level that was expected. And I think some people did expect, myself included, for him to be part of this Manchester United warm weather training camp and be part of those 2 friendlies in Spain next week against Cadiz, against Real Betis on Wednesday and Saturday respectively. But that's not the case. It's been announced this morning and reported by Samuel Luckhurst of the Manchester Evening News and actually confirmed by United. We'll talk about United's statement on that in just a second. But Samuel Luckhurst is reporting that Jadon Sancho is not in the Manchester United squad for the warm weather training camp The club say he's continuing individual training program in an effort to return to the highest level. Sancho has been training in the Netherlands with coaches recommended to him by United manager Erik ten Hag. United, when they officially announced this squad, said that Jadon Sancho is continuing his individual training program as part of a process to get him back at his highest level and will not travel with the squad to Spain. And it must be said, that is somewhat surprising. I'll give you my thoughts on that in just a second. Just in regards to this travelling squad, so we can just get this part out of the way. The travelling squad to Spain is as follows: David De Gea, Tom Heaton, Bishop, Dubravka, Lindelof, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Brandon Williams, Mengi, Bernard, Gerardo, Hardley, Bennett, Oyedele, Murray, Fredrickson, Van der Beek, McTominay, Savage, Iqbal, Hansen, Gore, Mainu, Martial, Alanga, Shoreteri, Garnacho, Hugo, McNeil, and Emma. And obviously we've got quite a lot of youth and academy players because you've got to make up the numbers, certainly, and get them some experience of working with those senior players. But for Sancho not to be involved in that, it depends how you take it. I think there's two ways of looking at that. The negative way is to look at that and say, well, that's quite alarming. You know, he's working on this individual program. How far off is he? You know, how far off is he that he's not included? You would have thought to really get your fitness levels up and really get you back integrated into the squad and really be playing, be a regular player. Once we get back off this World Cup break, you would have thought he'd have been involved in this warm weather training camp and involved in those friendlies. So for him not to be, is that a bit of a concern? Now you can look at it on the other side and say, well, no, it's positive. They're saying that they're taking it on a case-by-case basis. Marcus Rashford, again, we spoke about Rashford earlier on, is a great example of a player that it wasn't working. He wasn't playing well. His form, his confidence was just on an all-time low, rock bottom settings, and he just had to go, right, I need to take a step back, build it from the ground up again, start completely over again. Erik ten Hag said, right, you didn't play for ages, because, again, he was out of the squad for a while. Towards the end of towards the end of November, there, as we headed into the World Cup. He didn't play for 2.5 weeks? And maybe he hasn't been doing any training in between that as well. We don't know. And it's not fair to really speculate, I don't think. That's not my thing. It's not fair to speculate about what's been going on in his personal life or what's been going on with whatever. I don't think that's fair. So I'm not going to speculate on that. But so we don't know what's going on in this. We don't know what his fitness levels are like. Maybe Erik ten Hag has looked at Jadon Sancho and just gone, the fitness levels are just too off. They're just, you need to start again, build it back up. And that to me would say, in terms of how many days away are we now from the next game? The next game's on the 21st. We're about 3 weeks away. We're about 3 weeks away, a bit less than 3 weeks, 2 and a bit weeks away from that first Carabao Cup game after the World Cup. And as of right now, would you say Jadon Sancho is going to be involved? I mean, if he's not starting those friendlies, it might be a bit of a push because he wouldn't have played a game of football, and there might be games behind closed doors, but he wouldn't have played a game of football in, by that point, 6-7 weeks. So I don't know, but the important thing is that he gets it right, Jadon Sancho. Clearly, there's stuff going on, physically and in terms of his form, and he was ill as well. So maybe again, it just needs to stop, start again. And maybe that's what he's doing. And I think the fact that he's on an individual program is a positive. And Erik ten Hag's looking at him and saying, right, we need to start over again. There is a player there. And people forget, Sancho did start the season well. And he had a good pre-season. So, again, depending on how you look at this, you could say, well, it's alarming. Or it's a case of just having to start again. And look, Jadon Sancho clearly is a very good player. He is a good player. But it's a curious one, certainly. And my hope is that whatever has been going on can be put behind and he can really contribute to Manchester United. And here's hoping that's going to be the case. I do want to talk a little bit about Cody Gakpo as well. Of course, as mentioned, featured for the Netherlands yesterday. And after the game, he was asked about his future. Obviously, linking him to Manchester United, but also Real Madrid. Now, the Netherlands captain, Virgil van Dijk, of course, a Liverpool player, so we should expect this kind of shade, was asked whether Manchester United and Real Madrid linked Cody Gakpo is ready for a high-profile challenge. And he said, quote, "Are Manchester United and Real Madrid at the same level at the moment? No disrespect, but not at all. I think he definitely has the next step in him." Now, Terrell Malacia, of course, a Manchester United player, was also asked about Gakpo. He said, "He's good enough for the top, there's no doubt. And Cody Gakpo Gakpo that was then asked about his future, and he said, I have to be honest, I'm not thinking about that now. I'm focused on the tournament and want to keep performing well to keep helping the team. Hopefully, when we become like that, when we become world champions, we can think about other things. As I said, I think Cody Gakpo's the one for United in January. I really do think he's the signing we need to make. He's not the answer to all of our problems. He's not a striker. He can play as a striker. He's playing up front at the moment for the Netherlands in kind of a 2 with Memphis Depay. And I think he's showing his quality. The issue is, and this is why I've been saying for the last week or so, get the deal done now. Because I only think he's going to do more at this World Cup. I only think he's going to do better. I think Netherlands will beat Argentina. I really do. I was far more impressed with them than I was Argentina yesterday. I think Netherlands will win, and I think Cody Gakpo will be instrumental in that. And the problem is other clubs have their agendas going on in this transfer window as well. Arsenal just lost Gabriel Jesus, maybe for 3 months. He has to undergo knee surgery. Real Madrid are sniffing around as well. Liverpool are sniffing around as well. Get this deal done now before the window even opens. So January 1st, he's a United player. Because let's face it, we have to be honest here. We can't be too big-headed. If a club like Madrid comes in, or even Arsenal at this point, because look, they're top of the league. And they're more likely to win things than we are at the moment. If a club like them comes in, are we going to win that race? Maybe not at the moment. Then we're really relying once again on the Erik ten Hag factor, on the fact that they share the same agent. And that's a problem. So United need to be proactive on this, and they need to get this deal done quick. Whether or not they'll do that, historically, the answer is no. The answer is no. But the fact we've had links since the summer, the fact he wanted to come to us in the summer, the fact that Erik ten Hag likes him, has spoken to him, they share the same agent, that might be just enough to get us over the line. But the longer we leave this, the longer we sort of, wait and see what happens, all that kind of stuff. No, that will not cut it. That will not fly. We've got too many games, and otherwise, if we don't get Cody Gakpo, who are we getting in January? Because then we'll get desperate. And that's when you get a Gallo set in, 6-month loan to the end of the season. Oh, it will be fine. It won't be fine if that's the case. We need a player of Cody Gakpo's level. We need someone that can play across the front three. And most importantly, we need to back the manager. We've been watching this World Cup, and it feels like every single player that Erik ten Hag wanted in the summer or admired in the summer is playing well. It literally feels like we're going through so many games where we're like, oh, we were linked to him, and they're playing well. And you go, oh, I can see why Erik ten Hag wanted him, because he's a good player. Denzel Dumfries got man of the match yesterday, and you go, oh, that's why Erik ten Hag wanted him in the summer. 2 assists and a goal. That's what he does, Erik ten Hag. Screw the rest of the scouts. The best scout at Manchester United at the moment is the manager, is the coach himself, Erik ten Hag. It's not an Eredivisie or Dutch bias. It's these players he wanted. They're playing well. He knows talent. He knows quality. So listen to the manager, look at the summer transfer window. The players that Ten Hag wanted are performing, so get them now. Don't allow it to get into a January bidding war. I know that Cody Gakpo will say, oh, I'm focused on what's going on. Then just let the agents figure it out. Agree a fee with PSV, get the agents to sort it out, and then present them a contract and just say, you just need to sign here. Get it done. And whether or not United do that, again, I have my reservations. I really, really do. Finally, this was a really interesting story. So there was reports coming out of Italy. Marco Guidi via Football Italia. This was on social media. But again, it kind of broke yesterday. It's all part of what's going on with Juventus at the moment. So obviously, there's a lot of scrutiny about Juventus and the accounts and the books and all of this. Record losses and possible alleged sort of tax evasion and deferred payments, the board resigning. It's a wild situation. So because of this sort of probe into their finances, they've had to sort of provide a lot of evidence to a public prosecutor. And according to this report, evidence provided by the public prosecutor into Juventus's financial dealings show that Juventus actually rejected a proposal from Manchester United in August of 2021 to swap Donny van de Beek with Weston McKennie, which is quite interesting actually, because Weston McKennie's been a player at the World Cup, of course. The USA went out yesterday, but USA impressed quite a few people, particularly McKennie, thought was a good player. And it just goes to show, this was at the time that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was in charge. Now, obviously, what he was really doing in terms of transfers, we don't really know, or how much authority he had over them, we don't really know. But it just goes to show that Donny was already sort of being, considered to be on the outs at Manchester United over a year ago. Now, I'm still of the mindset, you know me, I don't have time for the Donny van de agenda this morning, but it really is now or never. I've been saying this for a few months, and it really is now or never. I think that Donny van de Beek, in all honesty, has between December and the end of the season to prove his Manchester United future. Otherwise, I think he might be gone. I really do. I think that every pushback that I've always got about Donny, whether it's not the right coach, it's not the right players, he hasn't had a run of games, that's all been ticked off this season. You know, it's his guy in charge. He's got great players around him. You're playing in a midfield with Christian Eriksen and Casemiro. And you've got players around you that are quality too. We're playing the style of football that Donny van de Beek wants to play. And he did have a run of games. Well, he had 3 games in a row where he started. You know, and I know sometimes it takes longer than that, match rhythm, etc. But it's really now or never for him. Weston McKennie, would he done well at United? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this is August of last year, so I can't say if McKennie would have even been ready for a big move to United by that point. But he's a good player. But as I said, that didn't happen. Can't live in the past. But certainly when it comes to Donny, I really do think it's now or never. So there you go, guys. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's United news stories in the comment section below. Of course, I'll be back 2 times later today. I'll be back for the France vs Poland game for a live match view. And, of course, England this evening. England, Senegal, the Three Lions. Can they advance to the quarterfinals? I'll also be live for that. All of the live streams will be on the channel, so you can check them out. You can set reminders, you can plan your day out surrounding it and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully I'll see you all later. As I mentioned, guys, be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Remember, you can join the members club, links in the video description. Get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members only content too. Plenty of Manchester United and United View content on the horizon, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.